never thought that this would happen to me. My parents are immigrants who came to America with almost nothing but their dreams and a shared hope for a better future for their children. They worked tirelessly in low-wage jobs, enduring long hours and difficult conditions. Even when they were exhausted, they still managed to make time to teach me and my siblings the value of hard work, integrity, and kindness. And the importance of education was always emphasized. They wanted their kids to have a better life than they did. They sacrificed everything for us. So when I graduated from university, I promised my mom and dad that I would make them proud. I got a job at a prestigious law firm in New York City and became one of the top earners in my family. I could finally afford to buy them a beautiful house, pay off all their debts, and give them the quality of life they deserved. But then something unexpected happened. My mom and dad asked me to move in with them and help take care of them. You see, my parents had never received much love or affection growing up. Their own parents were strict disciplinarians who believed that physical affection was a sign of weakness. As a result, my parents never learned how to express their feelings openly and honestly. They always told me that they loved me by saying, "We will give you anything you want." But they weren't really good at showing their emotions through words or actions. But now that they were getting older, they started to realize that material things were not as important as emotional connection and quality time spent together. So they decided to ask me to move in with them. At first, I was hesitant to do so because I had grown accustomed to my independent life. I enjoyed the freedom and privacy of living on my own. I didn't feel comfortable enough to share my space with anyone else. On the other hand, I couldn't bear the thought of my parents spending their golden years alone without me. I knew that they needed someone to take care of them, and I also realized that I had the ability to do so. I was earning enough to support myself and my parents, and I could easily afford to give them the kind of care they deserved. After thinking it over for a few days, I decided to move back in with my parents. At first, it was strange for me to live with them again after being on my own for so long. We were all a bit awkward at first, but we quickly adjusted to each other's presence. It was nice to be able to come home and see my parents instead of an empty apartment. And as the weeks went by, I started to notice a change in our relationship. My parents were happier and more relaxed around me, and I felt closer to them than ever before. We began sharing meals together every night, and we would talk for hours about our childhood, our dreams, and our fears. I also started to notice that my mom was looking at me differently. She would often smile at me and touch my arm or shoulder whenever she talked to me, and sometimes her eyes would linger on me a little longer than necessary. At first, I didn't think much of it. I assumed that she was just being extra affectionate because she was happy that I was living with her again. But as the months went by, her behavior became more and more obvious. One day, I was helping my mom prepare dinner, when she suddenly stopped what she was doing and stared at me for a few seconds. "What is it, Mom?" I asked. "Oh, nothing," she replied quickly, as if she had been caught doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on. One evening, I was sitting in the living room watching TV with my parents when I noticed that my mom was acting strangely. She kept looking at me and my dad, and she would blush every time she caught me staring at him. Suddenly, she stood up and went to the kitchen. I could hear her talking to herself in a low voice. I couldn't help but eavesdrop on her. And what I heard shocked me. "What am I doing?" she said to herself. "He's my son. How could I possibly have feelings for him?" At that moment, I realized that my mom had romantic feelings for me. This was a forbidden and taboo subject in our culture, and the idea that my mom could be attracted to me made me feel uncomfortable and confused. Over the next few days, I tried to avoid spending time with my mom. I would go out with my friends whenever I could, and I even started working late hours at the office just to get away from the situation. But no matter where I went or what I did, I couldn't escape the feeling that something was wrong. Then, one night, my dad came into my room while I was getting ready for bed. He looked serious and concerned. "Do you know what your mother's doing, John?" he asked me in a low voice. "What do you mean?" I replied, trying to act casual. "She has been seeing a therapist to talk about her feelings for you," he said. She is in love with you, John, and she doesn't know how to deal with it." My blood ran cold. I couldn't believe what my dad was telling me. I had suspected something was going on between my mom and I, but I never imagined that it was something so serious. "What am I supposed to do?" I asked my dad. "I don't love Mom the way she loves me. I see her as my mother, and I don't want to hurt her feelings by rejecting her advances." "You need to be honest with her, John," my dad said. "It's the only way to put an end to this. I know it's not easy, but you have to do it for both of our sakes. She can't keep living like this. It's not healthy for her or for you." My dad was right. I knew that I couldn't keep avoiding the issue or pretending that nothing was happening. I had to talk to my mom and let her know how I felt about her. But I was nervous. I didn't know how to approach the subject without hurting her feelings or causing a big fight. I knew that my mom was a strong and independent woman who had overcome many obstacles in her life. But I also knew that she was deeply emotional and that she could easily take my words to heart. But I knew that I couldn't keep avoiding the issue or pretending that nothing was happening. I had to talk to my mom and let her know how I felt about her. So one day I sat down with my mom in the living room and I started talking to her about how I felt. I was honest with her, but I was also gentle and respectful. I told her that I loved her as my mother, but I didn't have romantic feelings for her. As I was talking to her, I saw tears welling up in her eyes, but she quickly blinked them away and tried to smile. "I understand, sweetie," she said. "I know that this might be awkward for you, and I'm sorry for that. I just wanted you to know that I love you very much. Nothing has changed. I'll always be your mother, and you'll always be my son." I hugged her tightly and told her that I loved her too. I knew that she was disappointed, but she was a strong woman and she was able to move past her feelings. In the end, everything worked out fine. My mom eventually found a new therapist who helped her deal with her feelings, and we were able to move forward as a family. The experience was painful and awkward at times, but it also taught me an important lesson about honesty, respect, and communication. Now, if you'll excuse me, there's a knock on the door, and I have to go.